got a bit of a sort of technical review, questions and answers, whatever you want to call it, type of video. Much in the same vein actually as some of the previous videos I've done with regard to a couple of devices that have been developed and brought out by a German enthusiast retro community company, Arcadeforge, basically. These guys have brought out several devices over the past few years. I've done videos of these devices on my channel. The SLG scanline generator 3000, Sync Strike, and the ultimate SCART adapter. Earlier on this year, Arcadeforge brought out another device. It was a bit of a sort of hybrid of several other devices that they'd brought out previously, and it's called SLG-In-A-BOX, which actually by its name doesn't actually tell you entirely what this box is. It's a bit more than an SLG in a box, and it's effectively a scaler. It is effectively a Sync Strike and effectively an SLG, all together in one smart, neat unit. So here's a scaler, here's an SLG 3000, and here is a Sync Strike. And basically you package all that up, you throw it over to some nutters in Germany, and they basically spit that back out into something that looks like that. Something rather cool actually that looks like that, and it's actually so cool that I can actually see straight for the case and look at the camera lens, so that has to be awesomely cool. Yeah, basically this is the SLG in a box. So it is a scaler. This is the CGA EGA, sorry, yeah, CGA EGA to VGA scale that's available in a number of different sources. You've effectively got your inputs and your outputs on one edge, and I'll go through this in a bit more detail, but well, in fact I'll go through it now. It's fairly clear to see. So we've got SCART input there, so you can feed that your RGB SCART signal from your console, and again I'll go through this as regards to how this is done as part of the video. You've got a couple of D-sub 15s that are normally are known as a VGA or Super VGA connector, and one of them is a pass-through and the other one is the output. And you've got these three phonos here. These are the component inputs. So you've got component input, you've got VGA D-sub 15 pass-through, you've got get my words out. You've got your SCART RGB input, and you've got your audio breakout there, left and right, and you've got your power in. And on the other side of the scaler, or the box, is various switches and buttons and all sorts of techno shizzle. You got your SLG scanline generator knobble in the middle, and you've basically got effectively you've got remote control off the main board, which you can't get access to because it's all perspexed in. But on your scaler, you've got the, again let's try right there, you've got 4 switches, which are basically to access a menu. There to get an auto signal, there to scroll up and down through the menu, and to actually get access to those, they've been remotely mounted on the back of the unit here. So you've got your 4 switches there. You have got a switch there which turns the scaler on and off itself. 2 switches here are for the, in fact they're all for the SLG. The first one is to change the scan lines between odd and even. The second one is to swap resolutions. And the third one is to turn the SLG on and off. So you've got absolute full control from all the remote switches that are available on the front of the, or the back, so depending which way you look at it, of the unit. And also you've got all your inputs and outputs. So inputs and outputs on one side, and all your various adjustments that you can go through on the other side. And the actual unit itself is enclosed in a pretty awesome but simple but very effective perspex case. So if you see there, you've got basically two sides to the perspex, two sides to the perspex, top and bottom, and you've got these feet which basically space it out, and you've got these bottom feet here, so it actually looks pretty snazzy. And of course underneath you can actually see all the gubbins are. But effectively what Arcadeforge have done is that they've developed their own boards. So this board across the bottom and this board across the top, and they developed themselves, and they've integrated it into the actual scaler that you can buy from eBay. And you can also buy this scaler unit itself direct from Arcadeforge separately. But the idea of this whole unit is to bring it all together in a nice snazzy unit to basically deliver your needs as a user that wants to ideally take their retro gaming signal and line double it, and then add scan lines if they want to, and output it to a VGA type connector, D-sub connector. So that's a very quick overview, a physical overview of the SLG in a box. One thing that's missing off this, and I suspect it adds to the cost so it hasn't been put on, but what would look awesome, I think, on the front of this would be a nice SLG in a box logo, perhaps going across or across like that. Similar, I think, to what Arcadeforge have done to the perspex cases that are available for the SLG3000 on its own. They've got sort of laser etched a logo on it. I think a logo on the front of that would look absolutely awesome, but I suspect it adds to the cost. It's not going to give any more functionality, so you know, is it really needed? Probably not. So yeah, so that's a very quick overview. Sorry, one of me nuts fell off. A very quick overview, sounds nasty, I know. A very quick overview of the SLG in a box. Like I said, it actually does do more than what the name suggests, because it's a scaler as well as an SLG as well as a sync strike. And obviously it replaces all that, which looks absolutely much better in that kind of case. And it is literally and absolutely plug and play now. It wasn't particularly difficult before to wire up or get working, and Arcadeforge actually sell the complete kits as regards to those devices I've just gone through. Sort of as a kit that you can connect together, you need leads between them, but obviously this is the absolute more a sexier way of doing it, and there's no brain power required in essence, because you get it and it's constructed like this. So basically you just got to connect your power to it, connect your console to it, and connect your monitor to it, and job's done, you know. So again, that's an overview of the physical look at the device, and what sort of inputs and outputs are on there, and what controllability you've got of the device. What I aim to do now is to go through various scenarios and to test it effectively against all the consoles that I've got. So I am going to go through a lot of consoles. I'm going to try Super Nintendo, I'm going to try Megadrive, I'm going to try Saturn, I'm going to try Gamecube, Wii, Dreamcast, Xbox 360, all sorts. I'm going to try power consoles, I'm going to try NTSC consoles, PlayStation 2 component, RGB SCART. I'm going to give this the full shebang. There's been a few things that have been raised online about some queries that people have got. I aim to put this through the test to see what it does for me, to see if I get any problems with certain combinations. So yeah, hopefully it will be of interest to you guys. If you want to ask any questions about this, got any comments, whatever, drop me a question, drop me a line, drop me a comment in the comments box, and I will do my damnedest to answer your queries, guys, and respond as quickly as I can. So guys, hope you enjoy the video. I'll get now straight onto some real gritty sort of testing, show you the results, and we'll take it from there. Right guys, I thought I'd start off with a really straightforward and easy configuration for the SLG-In-A-BOX. Not retro gaming as such, but this is my Xbox 360, my UK one, not my Japanese one, and I'm just using this configuration setup here. I'm actually utilising the VGA pass-thru, which is, let's get this straight now. Right, that's that one there. That's the VGA pass-thru. So that is the Xbox 360 VGA 640 by 480 signal I'm passing into the SLG-In-A-BOX, and that cable there is coming back out to my LCD monitor, which we can see there. And basically what I've done is I've turned off the scaler unit, because I don't need the scaler for this, because I'm using the SLG functionality of the SLG-In-A-BOX to get scan lines, and we're actually looking here at deciles for the Xbox 360, and you could probably make out the scan lines there, but basically I've set this up so it is in full pass-through mode, which means I don't want to worry about using the scaler. What's the point of using the scaler? Because I just want to overlay it with scan lines from the SLG. So I've set all that up. I've adjusted it, and I've got my scan lines here. So the actual picture itself is absolutely pin sharp. One of the questions that I've had is what's the pass-through like on this device, and the one that I've got, it's absolutely fine. So let's just go to start, and we'll get some scan line porn coming up. You see there? So that's effectively using the SLG3000 on top of the standard VGA feed from the 360. You see, it does everything it needs to do. I'll just quickly get into the game, but you should be able to see there that is pretty sharp, and this is just on a normal Dell 24-inch 1080p screen, so it's not on a CRT or anything. You should be able to see there that you've got some pixel porn, and that is pretty sharp, as you can see. So that's the first test. That's showing the pass-through capability of the device with an Xbox 360. Right then guys, next test is going to be a proper retro setup now, and I thought I would try my PC Engine. This is a recently acquired, and one that I've just modded myself. It's got an RGB mod on it that I've done myself with an RGB amp. Now these devices, well, all the PC Engines are quite renowned for having issues with scalers and video processors. Excuse me, as regards to the sync signal, and basically what you get is a black screen. You don't get no sync, which means basically you don't get an image. Now I've just plugged this in, so I've got the SCART lead, RGB SCART, and I've plugged it into the SCART socket on the back of the SLG-In-A-BOX, and VGA out. Now at the moment the scaler's switched off, so I need to switch it on. As you see, when you switch it on, you get a nice little fancy light there, which is the scaler, LED for the scaler, and you also get a LED come on the scaler itself. And as I've done that, I've got a white screen. Now, so it's picking up something, but it's obviously not picking up what it needs to pick up. So let's look at making sure that we have got the right input set on the scaler as regards to what I've got plugged into the Mac. And for me to do that, I've got to press button 4, which is that one there. So if I just flick back to the screen. Right, so that's gone to RGB HV, which is not what we want. So let's press it again. And that's component, I don't want that. So press it again. Slight apologies there, guys. I actually found out while I was getting the white screen, I had nothing to do with the scale or anything like that. And just a little tip for anybody out there is that it must have been to do with dirty contacts on the Hue card. So I basically just wiped that, pushed it back in, turned it back on, and lo and behold, we should get a sync signal. Sorry, we should get sync and a video signal, which is what we've got. So, something else I forgot to explain, I didn't actually have plugged in at the time, but I've actually put my audio output phonos into the back of the SLG-In-A-BOX. So what this effectively does is that it breaks out the audio that at the moment is coming through my SCART socket, SCART plug, sorry, into the SCART socket from the PC Engine. So I'm taking it out of the back of the SLG via phonos, and I'm rigging it straight through to a PC amp, hence why you can hear sound. So at the moment we have a very nice PC Engine picture that you can hopefully see via the LCD there, and we have no scan lines at the moment. So let me just switch the SLG on. There we go, we should get scan lines, which we've got there. Not particularly clear on this image, but they are there, don't worry, and it looks absolutely fine. So this is actually, so all this now is going for the scaler. I've switched the scaler on, I've passed the RGB SCART 240p image effectively into the SLG-In-A-BOX. The SLG's done its funky stuff. It's taken the signal, which is recognised as a 480i signal. This is for your techno people out there. It's recognised as a 480i signal. It's effectively line doubled it now. It's scaled at 640 by 480. Those are the settings that I've got on the actual scaler itself, which, if we go into the menu, I'll just quickly show you this. I'll only show you this once. We go into the menu, he says, pressing the right button. Sorry. Right, we go into the menu, and if we look at display, press menu again, and there you go. The one highlighted there is 640 by 480. That is what you must set this to if you want the proper pixel perfect or line perfect scan lines, which is what this has got. So we'll just leave that exactly where it is. Now what you may find as well, and just quickly just to go through, is the picture sometimes, depending on the input, may be shifted top or bottom, or may be shrunken, or I've set the scaler up already, and it may be alright for most of my consoles. I can't quite remember. Switch that back on again. So if we go to geometry on here, so this is the menu that's on the scaler, and I'm accessing this via the buttons on the front of the SLG-In-A-BOX, and you've got these options, H position and vertical position, so that will enable you to move the video image up and down, left and right. You've got the size as well, where you can compress it left to right or top to bottom. Clamp, we won't go into that. You shouldn't ever need to adjust that. That's automatically set, so just don't bother with that. It's absolutely fine. So basically, once you've set this, you shouldn't have to set it again, but I've said that, and I'm bound to have to set it again with another console I put in. But basically, that's what you do. You go through into that screen, and you can just adjust the picture. But as you see on that monitor, that's in 4:3 ratio mode, which is what it's supposed to be in. And so you've got borders on the left and right. You can actually stretch it out if you want to, but it looks crap in my opinion. It needs to be in the proper aspect ratio. But you've seen that filming now for a few minutes and the signal hasn't dropped sync once. Whether that's to do with the combination of the PC engine, of the Duo R with my RGB amp, I don't know. Whether that's because of the SLG-IN-A-BOX being able to handle it, fine. I think it's probably a combination of all of those, but it doesn't appear to drop sync. I've never really had a problem with these scalers dropping sync on my PC engine RGB mod, so you know, perhaps it's down to the mod. But so a bit of scanline porn there for you. That's all hunky-dory, and we'll go on to the next console. Right, next test is a Sega Megadrive, a PAL Sega Megadrive. Get me words out. A PAL Sega Megadrive. Now, this Megadrive I have converted to make it multi-region, but at the moment, as you can probably see, it's got a PAL or UK Street of Rage cartridge. The machine itself is currently set to PAL. It's not set to NTSC, so it's a PAL 50 Hz signal that's coming out of that. I've effectively got the RGB lead going into the back of the SLG-IN-A-BOX. I've got the audio breakout again. And I did actually have to adjust the geometry of the picture on the scaler. I said in my previous bit about the PC engine, I probably wouldn't have to do that, but I think I'm going to have to do it for every single console. You've got to basically just change the way the picture is as regards to stretching it or shrinking it. I had to effectively stretch this one, but anyway, it's all working. So this is a 50 Hz PAL console and game, and it's working absolutely fine. I'll start the game off. So you can handle 50 Hz, and you'll see in a minute that it is 50 Hz, as the fact you've got borders top and bottom. Well, you've got a border there and you've got a small border at the bottom. It's not massive, but the SLG facility switched on as well, so you've got scan lines. So we'll just zoom in on some scan lines. Picture looks really, really nice. The good thing, like I've said on previous videos, is the SLG scanline function itself hides a hell of a lot of minor issues you get with some of the cheaper scalers, really, and one of them is the image quality. It makes it really sharp and really nice, as you can see there. That should look pretty doody. So again, this is using the full functionality now of the SLG-IN-A-BOX. It's using the scaler, it's effectively using the sync strike to get a composite sync signal, and it's using the SLG functionality to get scan lines. Again, the Megadrive is renowned for causing certain scalers and processors problems, but the fact that the SLG-IN-A-BOX is cleaning the sync signal up, it seems to not have any problems working with the scaler. So yeah, so that's another console tested, done, passed. Like I said, that is currently in PAL mode. It works absolutely fine as well in NTSC. I know that, I've tried it, so I just thought I'd highlight the PAL situation with the scaler, because I know it's come up in various conversations and questions before. Right then, guys, and the next setup, and they do say that variety is the spice of life, so I thought I'd throw a bit of variety into this testing review and actually look at a Nintendo Wii, and a PAL Nintendo Wii. Not that it particularly makes a fat lot of difference, but so the way that I've decided to connect this in this specific instance is to use the component output from the Wii into the back of the component input on the SLG-In-A-BOX. So we've got the normal green, blue and red, or red, blue and green, or whichever way you want to say it, but basically the component input. I've set up the Wii to output a 480p progressive output, so it would be better quality than using the SCART output. You get a higher quality of image, so we're not actually utilising the SCART on this particular type of connection, but I could do if I wanted to, but I'm not going to get as good a quality of image. And of course I've got the monitor connected to the VGA out, or the D-Sub-15 out on the SLG-In-A-BOX. So what I'm effectively doing is that I'm feeding the SLG-In-A-BOX with a 480p image, and all I'm effectively doing is changing that connection type from component, so it's component in, and I'm having a D-Sub-15 out to go straight to my monitor, so I'm not actually messing with the image at all as regards to video processing. Now, I can't categorically state this as being absolute fact, but I'm pretty sure that if you feed the unit a 480p input and you extract out of it a 480p output, it means that you reduce the processing lag that's inherent with a device like this, and it should mean you get no processing lag. So that's the advantage of using it as a transcoder, and you can actually use it as a transcoder. This is exactly what I'm doing here. I suppose really down to the image quality now. So this is the image on a Dell monitor, and as you can probably see, it is pretty damn smart. I've got to be honest, it's the first time that I've ran my Wii through a transcoder of any form into this specific LCD monitor, and I'm pretty impressed. Now, what I've actually done for this specific demo is that I've turned the scan lines on. Now this is a Wii game, so it's not supposed to be in 240p mode or emulated 240p mode. It's supposed to be 480, but I thought just for the heck of it, I'll turn the scan lines on, and that's what I've effectively done. And okay, even though that's gone to let's just run this back again. Bear with me, sorry. That's what picks up steering wheel. Right. So again, if we zoom in on there, you can see you've got scan lines, but the colours, the quality of the image is absolutely brilliant. I'm genuinely impressed with this. One of the comments that has come back from previous tests of this specific scaler board, not the complete setup with the scaler board on its own, is that people have mentioned the fact that you can get snow on the picture, a sort of interference snow with anything that is a component input into this main board. Well, you know, I'm not getting any snow at all. I can only go by my own experience. My experience at the moment is the fact that I've got no interference and no snow, so it doesn't appear to be a problem with this entire setup here that a component input will induce any interference or snow. But it really is impressive, and like I said, even though this game isn't meant to run with any form of scan lines, it does look pretty sexy, if I'm being honest. It does look very, very nice. I just hope they're coming through really on the screen. So again, this is a PAL setup. This is a PAL Wii going into the SLG-In-A-BOX, and I've got the scan lines turned on. Now, of course, I can turn them off by flicking that switch there, and effectively you turn them off, and you've just got your 480p image. Now, there is a slight bit of ghosting on there, but you know, for the price of the actual scaler unit, it is very minor. But of course, as soon as you stick your scan lines on, I suppose, I'm not sure you're going to see that, but let me just put the scan lines on there. Okay, apart from the scan lines, it does make the image so much sharper, and it looks great. So again, that's another console, a different connection method, just showing it working. console to test then is a Super Famicom. Now obviously being a Super Famicom, this is the Japanese NTSC version. It's actually been RGB hard modded as regards to the cable that's coming out the back of it, but it's not any form of composite sync, it's using composite video. So it's SCART straight into the back of the SLG-In-A-BOX, D sub 15 out to the monitor, and break out on the audio, taking the audio from the SCART input. And here's a quick look at the game playing. It plays faultlessly, looks really nice. Let's look at some scanline porn again. And if we look at the actual image quality, so obviously I've got the SLG scanline mode switched on, and you see there. But again, it looks very nice, and it does what it needs to do. Nothing more to be said really about the Super Nintendo. It works. Now obviously, like I said, this is an NTSC console, but I don't foresee there being an issue. If it was PAL, it should work the same, but I can't categorically test that and state that, but it seems to work absolutely fine for this particular console. The next test is a PlayStation 2 connected to the SLG-In-A-BOX. This is a PAL PlayStation 2, but it's been modded. It's got a mod chip in it, so it is running in NTSC video mode, but it causes no problems at all with the scaler itself. The actual unit, even with the mod chip, boots up in PAL mode, and then when it actually starts the process of loading the game, it switches to NTSC mode. But even in PAL mode, it's absolutely fine. For the purpose of this specific test at the moment, I've got it connected via SCART, but I will change over to component in a short while. So we've got the SCART socket there being allocated from the PlayStation 2, and I've actually got it set up at the moment with Espagaluda. At the moment, the scan lines aren't switched on. It's just running in normal, a sort of non-SLG mode, so no scan lines. Picture's fine, but of course the reason why you're going to be buying an SLG-In-A-BOX is because you want to use the scan lines. But the actual reason why I wanted to show you the unit working without the... Oh, sorry, just zooming in there, pressing too many buttons. Excuse me. Is because I want to show you a slight issue with the actual scaler board itself, and it's sort of highlighted on the forums. It's one of the negatives of the scaler board, and it's to do with the way that the scaler deals actually with 240p images natively from the source, and tries to de-interlace it. Basically, it thinks it's seeing a 480i image, and it causes a problem with a certain type of effect that's called 30 hertz drop shadows. And I'm going to try and... I'm probably going to miss it now, so I'm going to have to wait till it comes up again. But basically, there's a shadow effect on some games, and on this particular scaler, and it's not a major issue, but it is a slight negative if you're being absolutely anal, is that the actual shadow effect itself doesn't actually work properly because the scaler is not recognising the image as a proper 240p image. It's recognising it as an interlaced image, and it causes problems. Now, I'm probably not going to capture it if I'm being honest, but basically what you get is on certain shadow effects you get like a combing effect on it where the board's not de-interlacing properly. And that's a 30 kHz shadow there you just saw there, but the camera's not picking up, and to be honest it's not a major deal, it really isn't. And once you turn on the scan lines, it does actually remove a fair bit of the artifact from the image. So I'll just turn the scan lines on there. So we've got scan lines, as you can see, and that's made the image a lot sharper, as we already know. But there is a slight sort of negative, and that is the only negative as we got. Wow, it's not the only negative, it's one of the minor negatives. Now that was a 30 kilohertz drop shadow I just saw there. Let's see if we get another one. But to be absolutely honest, it really isn't an issue in my opinion. If you're being absolutely anal, it is, but you know, for most gamers it won't be an issue at all. And like I said, with the scan lines enabled, you it effectively masks the problem. There's another one that just came up there. It's going to be hard for me to capture it, to be honest, for you to actually see the slight artifacting that's happening, and it is slight, so we'll take that as a pass. That all works fine. Yeah, I'll now swap over to component. Not you'll see a major difference on this game, but I'll swap to a different game that is on a proper 480p feed, and we'll see how that looks. So I've changed the game, and I've changed the output of the PlayStation 2 to component. So in the back of the SLG-In-A-BOX, I've still got the original SCART cable plugged in, but obviously that doesn't go now to the PlayStation 2. But I've got the component input action now, and I've changed the appropriate settings on the scaler board to pick up that appropriate input. Now, the PlayStation 2 is pretty renowned for having quite a noisy component signal, and you may be able to see that if I zoom in on that. I don't know if you'll see. You'll get a bit of interference on the red into the black. There's nothing I can do about that. That is part of the component failure, really, on the PlayStation 2. It is a slightly noisy picture. You might be able to see on the sides there. You get a bit of on the side of the image. If you look down the sharp edge, there's a bit of a sort of wobble. Well, I say wobble, it's just interference basically. See, it's not a sharp line going down the side, but it doesn't detract from the main picture, and it works absolutely fine. Now, obviously, being 480p output, this particular game that I'm playing gives you the ability to actually change the output and actually flip between several video modes. So you can choose 480i, you can choose 240, and you can choose 480. I've got the game output at the moment to 480, so the way that this is actually working with the SLG-In-A-BOX is that it is effectively transcoding the video signal. So it's taking the 480p image into the SLG-In-A-BOX, and it's effectively just converting it to a D sub 15 output for the monitor. So it's not doing any processing to it. So you are absolutely minimising any video processing and reducing lag to an absolute minimum, if it exists at all, in this type of configuration. Now, because it is 480p input, and the actual signal is a bit cleaner than what it would be if it was a 240p, i.e. the scaler is not recognising it as an interlaced image because it sees all 240p as 480i, and of course you get a bit of sort of processing, additional processing there, and the image is not as clean as what this is. But this is pretty funky, to be honest. It looks fine to me, but of course when you turn on the scan lines again, picture goes a bit dark, but it really does make the picture look really, really nice. You feed this a 480p image and lay scan lines over the top, and it is really sharp. You're still retaining all the definition of the pixels. So in 480p mode, you retain all that, and it's really nice and sharp. To be honest, with the scan lines in effect. So that's the PlayStation 2. Power 1 has been converted to NTSC, works absolutely fine on SCART and component. Let me just zoom in again there to see some scanline porn. So that's the next test finished. Just to finish off the review for the PlayStation 2 testing, something that has been raised before by a few people has been the fact that when you use a PlayStation 2 with component, same as the Wii with component, you get a lot of white interference, a lot of snow on the screen. I just thought I'd just capture a bit here and just show you the relevance of that, certainly with regards to this setup, and it makes absolutely no difference at all to me. I've got a black background here, so if it picks up any interference or any snow, I should say, white snow that comes up on the screen, then this will pick it up. Now, very occasionally you'll see a few white dots. I mean, I'm talking about a couple if you stare at the screen and you fall asleep, but every now and again you'll see a couple of white dots. Now, I've got none of that at all with the Wii on component. The only reason you get it on the PlayStation 2 on component is because of this interference issue, and that's all it is. It's just interference, but it's so slight, it's unbelievable. I think the guys that are getting a real bad snow effect, there's something wrong with their setup, and I suspect it might be a PSU problem, a power supply problem, because I have noticed that if you don't power these scalers with the appropriate voltage and ampage, you can get a lot of interference. I mean, this odd bit of white dotting that you're seeing here, I've seen it a lot worse than that, where it's been banding across the screen. It's been because of the PSU. So if you've got a correct PSU power and everything up, you shouldn't get any problems. But in the case of the PlayStation 2, the interference that you're seeing, sorry, the dots that you're seeing on the screen that infrequently come up, that is purely because of interference. There's nothing you can do about that, and it's just one of the things you've got to deal with the PlayStation 2. But obviously normal gameplay you won't see that because you've got bright colours everywhere. So I just thought I'd highlight that really about that potential issue that does exist there with a component on the PlayStation 2. The next test is to connect a Japanese NTSC Dreamcast to the SLG-In-A-BOX, and what I'm actually using on this specific example is to use the VGA connection on Dreamcast. It's the most common connection, it is the best connection for clarity, and because I'm basically using the pass-through function on the SLG-In-A-BOX to basically just use the SLG side of the actual setup, so this is basically bypassing the scaler itself, so you don't mess or play or corrupt the signal. There is no need, because you get the 480p image straight out of the Dreamcast. So all you want to do effectively is just overlay scan lines on the top, and this just means that you get absolute clarity and quality of picture really. So let's just turn off the scanline generator. So this is the native picture coming out of the Dreamcast, straight to the SLG-In-A-BOX. The scanline side is switched off, and of course the scaler circuit is being bypassed because it's on the bypass input on the SLG-In-A-BOX. So it's a very nice sharp image. Oh, let's just come back there. We got no grumbles about that one. So all I'm going to do now is just switch on the SLG. So let's come into the lettering, and you see the scan lines on there. And basically this is as good as it gets in reality as regards to clarity of picture. So it's a nice additional part of functionality on the SLG-In-A-BOX, where you have got a VGA type pass-through, so you can just take a VGA output and input it into the SLG-In-A-BOX and just overlay scan lines on top. That is absolute clarity of picture there. You're not going to get any better than that, so it works really well. It would work exactly the same as regards to working, I should say, if I was using RGB SCART out of the Dreamcast into the SLG. I've tried it. The picture isn't as clear as this, but it's as clear as what the other examples I've given you of an RGB SCART input. But obviously this is going to be the best image you can get really from the Dreamcast. It is absolutely pin sharp. So that's the Sega Dreamcast all working correctly. So for the next test, we have an NTSC Model 1 Sega Saturn, and I've got my RGB SCART lead coming out of the back, going into the SLG-In-A-BOX, D-sub going to my Dell monitor, and the audio breakout. And hopefully, okay, that's the image there. So you can see some scan lines. That's a bit of a crap video image, but it syncs fine. There's no interference. Picture's nice and clear. Hopefully you can see that. And it works absolutely fine. Not sure what else to say about this because it just works. So yeah, I'll jump on to the next video. Right, the next test is for the original Xbox. This is a bit of a behemoth of a console. I think the state of mine as regards to the amount of dust on it and so forth, you could probably tell that it doesn't get used that often. It used to have the shit kicked out of this and back in the day, but it's the original Xbox console that I bought, and it just, every time I switch it on, it just works. It's just awesome. As regards to the way it was built, but anyway, now the Xbox 360 was pretty special in the way that nearly all the games were progressive output enabled, 480p. This is a PAL Xbox, but it's been modified, so it's actually running an NTSC video output mode. Not that it actually matters really for 480p. But to get that output, if I remember correctly, to actually get that output, you had to have it in NTSC mode, as you couldn't see the progressive scan option, so hence why it's been modded. So I'm using the official component output lead, as you can see there. I'll keep zooming in, zooming out, I'm pressing too many buttons on my camera. So I've got a component input into the SLG-In-A-BOX, using it as a pure transcoder, so the output is kept at 640 by 480, and of course I've got the video out linked to my Dell monitor. Now the actual quality of this is pretty nice, to be fair. I've actually got the scan lines enabled, which you should be able to see. Now in reality, you shouldn't be having any scan lines really on the Xbox games, purely because they were supposed to be full video scan with 480 lines of full video in each frame. But actually enabling the scan lines makes it look really, really nice actually. Hopefully you can see there the amount of sort of sharpness and detail that it picks up there with the scan lines. And like I say, it does look really nice, and it syncs absolutely perfectly, and there's absolutely no noise on this at all as regards to the noise that was picked up on the PlayStation 2 component output. So again, just to enforce that the issue with a bit of a noisy signal is specific in this case to the PlayStation 2 component, but the Xbox component is absolutely spiffing. So yeah, so that works absolutely fine, and that's another test done with. Right, so the next console is a PAL Nintendo Gamecube. The good thing about the PAL Gamecubes is they actually output RGB. The NTSC ones didn't, you had to modify them. I've got an NTSC one as well, that I have modified for RGB, but this is the easiest one to show really, for the best results. It's using an official Nintendo RGB lead for the Gamecube, but it's the same one as what's used for the Super Nintendo. It's the same plug type. So I'm feeding the SLG-In-A-BOX with an RGB SCART signal, and I'm outputting as per normal to the Dell. Now the thing about the PAL Nintendo GameCube is that it wasn't progressive enabled. The NTSC one was, but the actual component output lead is like trying to get hold of rocking horse shit. They're really rare, and they're so expensive it's unbelievable. But so I'm just using the PAL one for this. So I'm using the full capability here of the SLG as regards to taking the effectively a 480i signal from the Nintendo GameCube and actually deinterlacing it to 480p. So on the screen at the moment we have Star Wars Rebel Strike, and I've got scan lines enabled, and it's you know, again, it's a nice picture. It all syncs fine, it all looks fine. And if I switch back to the normal output without the SLG, so that's like a progressive scan output. It's not particularly pretty in progressive scan mode on this scaler. You really do need to put the scan lines on. It makes the image a lot sharper, but it certainly looks very nice with the scan lines enabled, and like I said, it syncs fine and it works fine. So not much more really to say about this. So this is a PAL GameCube working absolutely fine on the SLG in a box. Right, the final, you'll be pleased to hear, the final console being tested is a NTSC Neogeo CD. This is RGB enabled, so I've got an RGB SCART lead coming out the back going into the SLG, and obviously D sub 15 going to the Dell monitor. I'm using the full capabilities of the SLG in a box. Taking a signal, doing a line doubling up to 480p and outputting this to a Dell monitor, and it looks absolutely cracking as any of my other retro consoles have looked. Scan lines enabled as you would expect for the Neo Geo, and it looks absolutely bang on. No sync issues at all, and it works lovely as you can see. Scan lines for life. So it's time for a bit of a sort of conclusions and resume of this video. I really do hope this video has been of use to you guys. Certainly of people that are thinking about getting an SLG in a box, want to know what its capabilities are. I've gone through a fairly in-depth sort of testing regime. I've tried 11 different consoles. The two consoles that I haven't tried for the purpose of this video, although I have previously tried them with the scaler board, the NTSC version of the Neo Geo AES, and that does work, that's absolutely fine. My NTSC Nintendo 64 and various PC Engine iterations. I haven't tried my Super Graphics, I haven't tried my Core Graphics, I haven't tried my Turbo Graphics 16. I can't see any reasons why they wouldn't work. Specifically, they're all using the same type of RGB mods in them, and I've never had problems with them with anything else that I've tested. So there are a few consoles that I have left out, and it's purely because the consoles are either packed away, they're in the garage or whatever, but I've just not been able to get them out to try and run them through this video test. But hopefully it's given you guys a sort of, I won't say brief insight, because this video is going for nearly an hour, but certainly in regards to some of the questions I know I frequently get about things, and I think that hopefully this video footage has proved that certainly everything I've thrown at it works correctly. There's no issues with the scaler itself. In reality, as regards to compatibility, not in my experience. So yeah, I hope it's been of great benefit to you guys. If you've got any questions, queries, or just comments you want to make, drop them down in the comments box below, and I'll do my best to answer, comment back, or whatever. Speak to you again soon, guys.